Ben Roethlisberger is out for the entire season. Drew Brees will miss at least 6 weeks, although I believe that it'll probably be a little bit longer than that. But the official company line is that he's going to be out 6 weeks. And you're wondering, what do I do at the quarterback position? Who am I going to be streaming this week? Well, one player that I've been advocating for quite some time has been Josh Allen, who gives you a nice floor because of his rushing ability. He's got a good matchup this week. He's going up against the Cincinnati Bengals, who last week got destroyed by the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are 2-0, and their fans think that they just won the Super Bowl, which is weird because, I'm old enough to remember when the 49ers were actual Super Bowl contenders, but we won't get into that right now. Josh Allen is a pretty safe play. Dig what he's got going on. He found Cole Beasley last week. John Brown is developing into a nice little receiver alongside of him. The running game looks solid with Frank Gore and Devin Singletary. We can kind of trust this Bills offense. I know a lot of people don't want to believe it. They're skeptical. I understand that. He's not the prototypical quarterback you would remember from years ago, but Josh Allen is one of the top streamers. And of course, there is Matt Stafford. Now, Matt Stafford, to me, is a longer-term guy because, as a matter of fact, you can play him for the next 2 weeks because he's got the Philadelphia Eagles and Kansas City Chiefs in successive weeks. And, of course, the Eagles did get 3 picks off Matt Ryan on Sunday night. The thing of that is, it just seemed like a bad game. It looked like you could take advantage of that Eagles secondary. If Ryan just didn't make some boneheaded mistakes, he should have had a much higher fantasy total, although then you think of Matt Stafford and you're like, wait a minute, aren't they basically the same dude? And I guess in a way, Stafford being a poor man's version of Matt Ryan, or is it vice versa? I don't know. They're almost like, they're typecast. It's like, oh, are you John C. Reilly? Now you know what I'm talking about? Like sometimes it's just one of those things that the quarterbacks are very similar. But Matt, listen, you're desperate. You are starting Ben Roethlisberger, so it's not like you've got a lot. You made a mistake in choosing to stream quarterbacks or do anything like that. Some other quarterbacks we're going to be looking at is Jacoby Brissett. He's got a lot of nice matchups coming up. Let me go ahead and look down. I'm sorry, I know this is uncouth, but he's got the Falcons, the Raiders, and the Kansas City Chiefs upcoming. He looked pretty good. He made the winning throw against the Tennessee Titans going on the road. He went on the road to Los Angeles to play the Chargers. Now he's going to get an opportunity to play a couple of home games. And this is a nice stretch for him. The Colts want to run the ball a little bit more. I don't know how much they really want to trust him, but they're starting to gain it more and more. It's kind of like when you have your child. You let them get some small victories under their belt before you finally allow them to go full tilt and do whatever it is. All right, fine, you can go on the sleepover. So here's the thing. Jacoby Brissett, if he gets the opportunity to throw the ball, he does have some nice matchups over the next couple of weeks. Another interesting possibility to stream this week, and I know I can't believe that I'm going to say that, but Jameis Winston. I know. We've been burned by Jameis Winston before, and every time that it happens, I swear that I'm never going to do it again. It's like when you go out and you start doing Jaeger bombs, and you're like, listen, this is the last time I'm ever doing Jaeger bombs. I will never do this again. And then a couple of weeks later, you're at the bar, your friend orders one, you're like, why not? What's the harm? And then you wake up hungover, you don't remember how you got there. That's what happens with Jameis every time. It always seems like a great idea. Yes, I understand the allure of wanting to start Jameis Winston, especially against the Giants, especially when he has such available talent around him, including Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, O.J. Howard might even show up and play at one point. So it's very tempting. I understand all of that. I'll just leave it at that. I'm not doing it, but you know what? If you need it, if you're desperate, it's something I would want somebody to talk me out of. Maybe I'll be that person. Don't do it. I'd do it. Why don't I? The thing with Jameis, it's kind of like when you're watching your friend play blackjack and you're like, dude, totally. Like, yeah, why aren't you betting $50 a hand? Like, yeah, like I like watching somebody else do it. So I could sit here and recommend and say, listen, you guys should probably go play Jameis. The evidence, you can logically make sense. It logically makes sense why Jameis should be started this week. I don't know that I have the guts to do it. I don't know. It just sounds like, yeah, okay. Like the guy who was floating in the air with weather balloons tied to a lawn chair. Like, yeah, get the practice of it. It makes sense. It should work. I don't want to try it. You want to try it? Help yourself. Andy Dalton is another quarterback we're kind of looking at as well. He is on pace, and Andy Behrens was the first to point this out. He is on pace to throw the ball 700 times this season. And the good news is that Bengals defense does not look good. So I'm pretty excited about what's going on with Cincinnati. And as we talk about Andy Dalton, we should transition to another wide receiver I kind of like this week, or I kind of like the pickup, that a lot of people are still skeptical about. So let's just say Andy Dalton, he's lower end because his matchup this week is like, he's got who? He's got the Bills. So it's not a great matchup this week. But long term, with somebody who's going to have that much volume throwing the football, it's pretty nice. Like, I don't mind it. I think that it's a pretty good opportunity. Plus, I also love Josh Allen. I love Josh Allen. No, I do. I like John Ross, is who I was going to say. John Ross is this player. He was the 9th overall selection. A lot of people were excited about him coming out of the University of Washington. And we've kind of waited patiently for him to break out and do his thing. Kind of like the way that I'm patiently waiting for DC to really just knock it out of the park with it. That's not true, because Wonder Woman was super good. And Batman versus Superman was good. Don't at me on that. Here's the thing about John Ross. He's had, and I'm going to look at my notes here, 10 targets per game in each of the last 2 contests. And I understand. A lot of people are like, well, he got it in garbage time the last time. Yeah, those points count. Do you ever watch a fantasy game and you're like, yeah, he's scoring at the end of the game. Yes, this is helping me out greatly. I enjoy this. I would like to see more of this. That's what John Ross is doing. I'm not sure that I make him the top waiver selection of the week because, we do have Terry McLaurin available and out there running around. I don't know. I think a lot of people might have been skeptical the first week where you're like, I don't know. Like, it's Case Keenum. It's a rookie, but who knows? I get it. I understand your trepidation. And listen, I was there with you. There was a lot of leagues that I see him available in, but there was a lot of people who were like, no, I'm picking this guy up. It's funny because when you play in these expert leagues, those people tend to be more, skeptical about stuff. Like, this doesn't logically make sense. But when you're playing with your friend Mama Dina, she's like, oh, I'm picking this guy up. He's amazing. It's also the same thing. We're like, you should trade Sammy Watkins. Like, no way. He was awesome in week 1. That's going to carry over into week 2. Doesn't always work out that way. But I think McLaurin is the guy who's going to be the number 1 receiver. And if they ever switch to Dwayne Haskins, well, these guys were college teammates. It makes absolutely too much sense. So that's probably your top wide receiver ad of the week. And by the way, John Ross isn't in your leagues if you're playing with me because I added him last week. Love John Ross. I even started John Ross. You know what? As a matter of fact, I started John Ross in a league because I was looking through on... Nobody cares about that. All right, let's talk about some other guys. John Brown, I don't know if he's still available in your league. I don't know. I got to throw it out there. I know. I got a tweet from a guy who said, hey, should I pick up Chris Godwin today? And okay, I don't know how to deal with these leagues. He was dropping Stephon Diggs for him. It's the craziest thing. Whatever. So listen, see if John Brown's available. Hey, see if Chris Godwin's available in your league. Because if he is, he should be on your roster. DJ Chark Jr., by the way, loved him. Gardner Minshew was out there throwing the rock, and he loved targeting DJ Chark. He did not like targeting D.D. Westbrook all that much. That could have been a little bit of a game flow script or whatever, so I'm not completely giving up on D.D. I'm going to hold on to him this week. But also, if you need a wide receiver, I think you can go up and pick up DJ Chark. Demarcus Robinson is another one of those guys who plays for the Kansas City Chiefs, which seems cool. And then at the same time, you're like, this is annoying because we never know week to week. We thought Mecole Hardman, again, he should be rostered. We thought he was going to be a guy. That was disappointing, but you know what? That kind of stuff happens. Tight end, by the way, Greg Olsen. A lot of people didn't want to pick him up on Thursday night. It was too late. I think that if you look at the matchup this week against the Arizona Cardinals, you're going to want to start Greg Olsen because they cannot stop a tight end. Will Dissly? You got to be super desperate. But Will Dissly, you know what's funny is I liked Will Dissly in week 1, and it didn't obviously work out, and I jumped off. I should have held tough with Will Dissly. But you know what? As a tight end goes, listen, I know a lot of these leagues, people pick up 2, 3 tight ends and hoard them and do all that stuff. Will Dissly is probably somebody to pick up. Not a lot going on at the running back position. I know that Carlos Hyde is available in 40% of NFL.com leagues. I cannot believe that he would be available in yours, but again, it's worth checking. Raheem Mostert is probably the guy who is available most in your leagues and definitely deserves to be rostered because he takes over the Tevin Coleman spot in that roster in San Francisco. And I know Jeff Wilson scored a pair of touchdowns last week, and that helped nobody. But Mostert is somebody who you can probably count on to play. By the way, does it look cool when I kind of do this kind of swivel thing? But in any event, those are my waiver wire pickups of the week. We'll see you next time. Bye.